What if I told you toys were never really for kids? Sure, they sit on toy store shelves and in childhood bedrooms. But again and again, adults can't resist them either. From teddy bears to troll dolls, Furbies to Funko Pops, and now Labubus. These aren't just playthings. They are mascots for our inner child. They're how we sneak innocence, silliness, and nostalgia back into our very adult lives. Today, we're going to trace over a century of toys that became something much bigger. Hi, my name is Milena, and this is To Be Honest, and today we're going to talk about, well, things that adults tried to buy saying they're for kids, but they were actually buying for themselves. And things that we might think of when we say nostalgia as well. Let's dive right in. Chapter 1, the 90s. Our story starts with the teddy bear, way back in 1902. Born from a news story about Theodore Roosevelt sparing a cub, the stuffed company in Germany turned into the first plush companion of its kind. Kids hugged them, but adults, they exchanged teddy bears as romantic gifts, stored them in homes, and even clung to them during wartime. In an era of industrialization and global conflict, the teddy bear wasn't just a toy. It was the socially acceptable comfort object. The first sign that mascots would heal adults just as much as children. I'm sorry, but you're trying to tell me that this toy is not Mr. Bean's teddy bear, but is actually Mr. Bean having a Theodore Roosevelt bear because Theodore Roosevelt did not kill a cub? Oh my god, the lore! Chapter 2, 1910s to 30s. By 1912, cuteness was entering mass culture. The Cupid doll. Cupid doll. I'm just gonna roll it. A cheeky cartoon character turned figurine was marketed not just for children, but as good luck charms and collectibles for adults. This was the first wave of consumer culture saying, hey, cute things aren't just childish. Then came the 1930s, the Great Depression. Life was bleak, and Disney's new mascot, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, were everywhere. Plushies, ceramics, even lunchboxes. These characters weren't just for kids. Adults bought them as symbols of hope, little reminders that joy was still possible. In fact, Disney characters even showed up on military gear during World War II. Childhood mascots carried into adulthood, even into war. Oh yes, how cheerful to take a Disney lunchbox while you're in the trenches. And while we're at it, can I mention the propaganda thing? Or is that like... I don't know, I'm not monetized, so YouTube can't really do anything to me, but... Chapter 3, 1960s. The 60s were strange times. Cold War fears, rapid change, and cultural revolutions. What did people turn to? Strange little creatures. The troll doll, invented in Denmark in 1959, exploded across the world. Kids adored them, but adults put them on office desks, car dashboards, and fashion shoots. They were iconic. I mean, ironic. The script says ironic. Kitschy and good luck charms in a world always on edge. Hold on a minute. Hold on. I'm gonna leave you. This is Jerry. His name is not Jerry. He doesn't have a name. But I'm gonna leave you with Jerry. Now called Jerry. I'll be back in a second. I think that was loud. I will be back. I know I had to step down from the ladder, and probably my focus is going all over the place, but I do have an obsession with these. I love them to bits. And this is a lighter, because like I said, I'm Eastern European and I smoke because cigarettes here are everywhere. I don't think this one works anymore. It's pretty chic to be asked if I have a lighter, and I just, oh, there you go, sir. And everyone's like, huh? And I'm like, anyways, truth is I grew up with this guy and I just had an obsession with it, and now I have a lot of troll stuff. I'm gonna put some images of me giving away like 300 troll dolls at this specific festival, and me having like a family of lighters. Let's move on, because this is weird. It's just me and my troll obsession. Meanwhile, in the Soviet Union, Cherabushka, a floppy cartoon character, became a national mascot. I should have a better Russian accent, but Eastern Europe doesn't mean you know Russian accent. A floppy-eared cartoon character became a national mascot. Children loved him. Adults embraced him as a symbol of warmth in a cold political system. Across the world, mascots weren't just cute. They were coping mechanisms. Why am I on a ladder? I don't know. But if you can guess why, I would be happy to see you guess. Because you won't guess. Chapter 4, 1970s. In 74, Sanrio introduced Hello Kitty. She had no mouth, so you could project your own feelings onto her. In post-war Japan, where rigid corporate life left little room for softness, Hello Kitty became a lifestyle. Children wore her own backpacks, but adults carried her own wallets, stationery, even cars. She wasn't just a toy, she was identity. A way of saying, I choose cute in a world that demands seriousness. And I hate it. Call me a pick-me girl, but I hate it. And they weren't kidding when they said it became an identity. It was a craze, and it's funny how the contrast of rigid life in Japan goes like extreme, like polar opposite when it comes to Hello Kitty and the craze that it followed. I think Hello Kitty has a longer legacy than Michael Jackson, and I think that's frightening. And I get it that they wanted to get away from a world that obliges people to be serious, but like you don't have to become obnoxious. There's a line. There is a fine line. Aw, I have a poster of Harry Styles' fine line nude photo shoot in the background, so if my eyes wander away, it's just me looking. Chapter 5, the 80s. The 80s supercharged this. Care Bears started as greeting cards mascots, each bear embodying an emotion. Love, cheer, friendship. They weren't just toys for kids. Adults gave them as gifts when words weren't enough. Aww, oh my god. And then My Little Pony. On the surface, pastel horses for kids. But decades later, adults reclaimed them, building whole fandoms. Let's not talk about that. Childhood mascots had become adult communities. For the first time, nostalgia wasn't just private. It was collective. And it's important to note that Care Bears and My Little Pony carried all the way into 2000s, actually 2010, I think. Because I know they made like an animated show about the Care Bears, and I am certain up to this day that I do not want to talk about My Little Pony at all, or anything fandom related. I'm gonna let you discover that one on your own, because there's things I like to do for the sake of educating other people, but there's things where I think not knowing is a way of better living, and this is one of those things. Dude, these ends are kind of busted. I mean, I know mine are, but yours are worse. Chapter 6, the 90s. The 90s brought new anxieties, globalization, digital revolutions, Y2K panic, and toys evolved with it. Tamagotchi, the digital pet, swept the world in 1996. Children loved them, but adults secretly fed their Tamagotchis at office desks. In a chaotic new digital age, caring for a pixel pet gave adults a tiny sense of control. Then came Furby in 98. Part pet, part robot, part nightmare fuel. Kids saw magic. Adults bought them as novelties, conversation pieces, even ironic collectibles. Furbies lived in that uncanny valley where toys weren't just toys anymore. They were culture. No, because, like, what was superior? Tamagotchis or Furbies? Be honest. Because, like, I put my hands on both. And I remember I was so excited for my Furby. And I was really excited for a Tamagotchi. But, like, I had a long time expecting to have a Tamagotchi. And it took so long. And I actually found a lost Tamagotchi. And it became mine after years of wanting one. And it was, like, very underwhelming. Well, the Furby came out of nowhere. Because I didn't really know what Furbies were. And my parents got me one for Christmas. And I remember being like, of course, Uncanny Valley. But, like, it's more fun than the Tamagotchi because this dude talks, but it scares the living out of me when it starts talking at night or when the batteries started running out. You don't want to be around the Furby that doesn't have battery or has like sort of has battery. Do you know those wall fishes when they run out of battery? I mean, I guess people did create poo, so I guess Tamagotchis were more prolific in having a legacy. God knows. Chapter 7, the 2000s.
It's Britney, bitch.
By the 2000s, the internet had changed everything. Littlest pet shop figurines weren't just kids' toys. Adults were trading them, customizing them, and building online collector communities. Meanwhile, the Moomins, Scandinavian cartoon trolls from the 40s, were reborn as lifestyle icons. Adults filled cafes, homes, and wardrobes with Moomin designs. Toys weren't just for childhood nostalgia anymore, they had become full-blown aesthetic choices. Of course, my camera died. So I was just about to say, before the camera died, that between My Littlest Pet Shop, which I didn't really like, mostly because I didn't own one and I wanted one really bad, but because I was overtaken with love by Webkins, which I did not mention. Yes, I did not mention Webkins. Hold your horses. I'm gonna do an entire video about Webkins. But that's because there is a weird phenomenon with Webkins. Webkins started out as kids' collectibles with the insertion of using Webkins online as well with your virtual pet and all that. But it very soon started into a mom craze of collecting Webkins and then playing Webkins. Like, they played along with us and you could never know. Is your friend on Webkins a kid like you? A weird dude or a 40-year-old mother? You may never know. But that's why I'm gonna do an entirely different video just about Webkins, because I think that's very interesting how far the craze was taken. Not as far as My Little Pony, but I'm not gonna talk about My Little Pony. Not for a while. I don't know how much money can pay me to actually talk about My Little Pony. So let's move on with our next mentions. Chapter 8, 2010. Then came Funko Pop. Not really toys, more like trophies. Shelf after shelf of wide-eyed figurines, each one a pop culture reference you could hold. Adults didn't play with them, they collected them as identity markers, proof of fandom, proof of nostalgia, or even proof of self. And finally, Pop Mart and Labubus. A little sharp-toothed creature from China packaged in blind boxes. Cute yet terrifying, playful yet unsettling. Adults flock to them not for play, but for the thrill of surprise, the comfort of cuteness, and the permission to play again. Labubu is the modern endpoint of this lineage. He's not just a collectible, he's a mirror of the times, late capitalism, burnout, digital overload, and our desperate need to still believe in magic, I suppose, even if it comes in a plastic figurine. So I guess here we are in modern time with Labubus and Funko Pops. Now, the reason why I put them together is also because I think Funko Pops are pretty much the same thing as Labubus, but more blatantly like in our faces consumerism, if that makes sense. At the time, it didn't feel like it, because I know I lived through the craze of Funko Pops, and I've seen the empire rise and fall. But at the time, it didn't really feel like so blatant consumerism as Labubus. Labubus make it more in your face, like this is specifically for your inner child. Funko Pops is more about identity. Because the thing about Funko Pops is that they found like fandoms and a way to exploit them. And now they found ways to quadruple exploit fandoms. It's all about finding people's weak spot when it comes to fandom stuff. And I do have some Funko Pops. I actually don't have some Funko Pops. I have some keychain Funko Pops because I was really in my craze of Supernatural, Marvel. What else do I have? Game of Thrones? What else do I have? Because I know I have 6 of them. Anyways, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that I never fell for the big Funko Pops because they felt like just a bunch of plastic that, yeah, could raise in value in time, but didn't really seem like it because even at the time, it felt like they were pumping out more collectibles than they were being bought. And most of them, that's what happened. But there are some rare exceptions, and there is a rare exception, and there is actually a rare exception where I have bought a full-size Funko Pop. I don't think there is any pretty way of explaining what I'm holding in my hand, and so I'm just gonna say that is so cringe. I'm so sorry. And yes, this is an Ed Sheeran Funko Pop, and you're going to ask why and how. And the answer is quite simple. I went to a Divide Tour concert, and it was life-changing because by accident I ended up front row. But I was broke, and I wanted to buy something to remember that day by something, and I had no money to buy something. So I got home, and when I got my first money, I went on the website, on the official merch site, and I said, well, if something's gonna turn into a collectible, a Divide tour with a Damien Hirst artwork would work. And I like the fact that it has a tattoo on his arm. Like it was nicely crafted. And perhaps maybe I did not explain well enough why I bought it. I bought it because it seems to me that music industry and like limited touring or album series, they do sell out and never get remolded. Like honestly, I wanted to buy a My Chemical Romance Welcome to the Black Parade Funko Pop with like the full album package. I'm gonna put it on screen, but I never found it, and as years go by, I find it to be more and more expensive each day. So it proves music Funko Pops do gain some value, but 99% of Funko Pops, la poubelle. Sadly, is just a waste of money. Just like Labubus, but it's not a waste of money when you do it for yourself to be happy. So I guess that's the point of the video, folks. Whatever makes us adults happy is what matters. So if you feel happy buying toys as an adult, do this, because why not? I feel a lot of adults buy their kids the toys they wanted to buy for themselves, and sometimes force kids into using toys they would actually like to play with instead of accepting that they wanted those toys. And sadly, no, I do not have a Labubu if that was your last question. But probably if this video pops, I'm gonna buy a Labubu to remember this moment. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around, I guess. Say bye-bye.